Hi guys, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Vivian, yes, the deferred test is for for the people who basically haven't done the actual test. So for any reason, people who couldn't do the actual test, then there is a deferred test for them. They can take the deferred test. So it's not for you guys. So
Okay, thank you.
if you take the test, you don't need to take the deferred test. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right, we're gonna start in a minute. Just wait for a bit. So, all right, guys. Next week is gonna be your basically your final test, right? Test 3. Okay. Let me share my screen here. Can you see my screen or no? Can you see the?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. So test 3 is gonna be next week, guys. So make sure you do the test 3. So next week also is going to be our last basically class. Okay, so next week is our last class, and also your last test is going to be next week, test 3. Make sure you take that test. It's 25% of your mark. Test 3 is going to cover basically what we learned from test 2 until now, right? So what we learned until test 2 until now is going to be covered in your test 3. Okay. So next week, I will probably do an overview of what we learned from test 2 until now. And also you guys can come back to me with basically your question. Okay. So you can also bring your question and we can basically discuss your question. Okay. So just make sure you take your test 3 next week, guys. Okay, that's your last test, and after that, the class is over. So next week is going to be your last class as well, and then we're done. Okay. Also, make sure you do the lab 9 and lab 10, right? So lab 10 and lab 9 are open now. Just make sure you do them as well. Okay. Any question? All right, no question. I'm just gonna.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah, Priyanshi.
Yeah, so in this final test, it's going to cover all the chapters we did.
I know that the test 3 is only covering what we learned from test 2 until now, right? So it's going to
Oh,
be,
test two.
yeah,
Okay.
so after test 2, it's going to be just covering the part that we learned from test 2 until now. Okay, so basically what we learned. Okay, so okay, so that's going to be covering that. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. All right, so I'm just gonna open the PowerPoint for today lecture. All right, today we're gonna discuss the break-even analysis. So basically, so this is basically a continuation of last week. Last week we were talking about the cost and profit and markdown and markup and basically and expenses and all those things. This is basically the same kind of the same thing, but different basically context. So last week we were talking about basically one item, but this week we're going to talk about multiple item. Okay, so for example, if you're basically in a factory or in a workshop, if they make like chocolates. Okay, so for chocolate workshop or factories, you have basically a fixed cost. Okay, the fixed cost means the cost that remains the same regardless of number of item produced or sell. Okay, so basically, if you're selling one chocolate or you're selling thousands of chocolates, the fixed cost is going to be the same, right? So you pay rent for the factory, you have to pay for a staff, you have to pay for content, you have to pay for this, and you have to pay for that. These are all fixed costs. No matter whether they want to buy your chocolate or they don't want to buy your chocolate, it's always the same. Okay, so fixed costs are basically remain the same no matter how many items you sell. Okay, so and they are calculated based on a specific time period. Let's say like fixed cost, monthly fixed cost, or yearly fixed cost, or weekly fixed cost, and based on the production period. So it's just this is always the same, right? So if you look at the graph of the fixed cost is always the same no matter how many quantity of the product you sell. Okay, this is quantity of the product. Okay, it can be one product or it can be thousands of product. Okay, so the fixed cost is always the same, right? So that's going to be the fixed cost. And now you have the variable cost. So we are looking at the cost for basically for a factory or a company to produce something. Okay, so they have a fixed cost and they have also variable cost. So what's a variable cost? Variable cost is the cost of production of that one unit. Okay, so that one unit can be, as I said, it can be a chocolate, can be a car, can be a bicycle, can be whatever you want. Right? Okay, so they basically, yeah, there is a variable cost, which is basically cost of producing one unit. And then also you have total variable cost, means if you produce X units here or a number of units, then your total variable cost is going to be variable cost multiplied by X. Okay, the X is basically quantity of that unit. Okay, so if you have the quantity of that unit, like X number of that unit, and each number to produce each number, you have variable cost of VC, then basically your total variable cost is going to be TVC, which is equal to VC multiplied by X, which X is the number of the unit. Okay, we look at the lobby. Okay, no one is in lobby. All right, so basically total cost then is going to be, so total cost is going to be basically fixed cost, which is going to be the same through entire production of the units, plus basically total variable cost, right? So total variable cost, as I said, it's going to be X number of units multiplied by variable cost. Okay, BC multiplied by X. Okay, so that's basically total cost of producing X number of units. Let's say X number of car, X number of car, basically the total cost. Okay, so which is going to be total variable cost plus fixed cost. Okay, as I said, fixed cost can be everything, right? Can anything associated to producing that unit is going to be fixed cost. Okay, so for example, if you're looking at the car company, okay, the car factory, just the rent for the factory is basically cost. Okay, so sometimes the big companies who they don't rent the factory, basically they build the factory, right? So that's going to be the fixed cost. Okay, fixed cost, the electricity for that for the factory, and then the labors, right? So you have to pay for people to come and work there, right? Labors, and then what else? What else you can see as a factory expenses? Okay, they okay.
Electricity
So
expenses.
electricity, yes. Utility. Now, what else we can see? Labors, accountant, right? So you have to pay for accountant, right? You have to pay for staff, right? Human resource, all people you're working for you, right? You are all people working for the factory, right? Everyone is going to be fixed costs, okay? So it doesn't matter whether you produce one car or you produce 1,000 car, they're always fixed costs, right? So and these are fixed costs, okay? And then the cost and the variable costs associated with car. So what's going to be that, okay? So you probably for each car you don't want to build the whole car yourself, right? You want to just offsource like the tires. You buy it from the tire company. I don't know, rims. You want to buy it from rim company. I don't know, like the so like the inside part of the car, right? So some parts you don't want to just want to buy from somewhere else, right? So those parts which you're basically buying from someone else, these are going to be your variable costs, right? And also Now you want to build the engine yourself, right? Let's assume the company, the factory build the engine themselves, and the rest of the car they basically outsource. So basically, the engine, also the cost for the engine is going to be basically the material for the engine, like the basically the steels, the stuff. So that's going to be basically the cost for the car. So for one car, basically, the one car cost is going to be cost of all those things together. Okay, so cost of all those things together is going to be cost of one car. And now they make 1,000 car or thousands of cars. It's going to be thousands of car multiplied by that variable cost plus the fixed cost, which is like the human resources, electricity, and all other stuff. So okay, or if they rent a factory, then they rent. Okay, so that's going to be fixed cost. So total cost is going to be fixed cost plus total variable cost. Okay. All right. So as I said, the total cost is the sum of fixed costs, and total variable cost is going to be total cost. Example: it takes a fixed cost of $9,000 and a variable cost of $8,000 per unit to create a car. What's the total cost of producing 4 cars? Okay. Okay, so this is the fixed cost is $9,000 no matter how many cars you produce, and then now per car the cost is $8,000, right? So $8,000 multiplied by 4 is going to be the variable cost, like $32,000 plus $9,000, right? So total cost is going to be fixed cost, which is $9,000 plus total variable cost. Okay, and total variable cost in this case is basically variable cost for 1 unit, right? 1 car multiplied by number of cars. So it's going to be 32,000. Okay. So 9,000 plus 32,000 is going to be basically total cost. All right. So selling price. So now we want to talk about selling price. Okay. So we understand what's the cost, though, right? So cost basically is what's basically basically what's basically a company endure to create X number of units. Okay. So now the selling price is the amount of business charged for a single unit of an item produced. Okay. So, and the total revenue is the amount of money received or brought from the sale of the item produced and sold during the period. Okay. So selling price, as we have discussed also last week, selling price is going to be basically basically the price that they sell that car. For example, if there's a car, the price that they sell the car. Okay. And then selling price basically is going to be total cost, which is cost plus variable cost, plus basically the profit, right? So that's going to be the selling price. Okay. And the revenue for the revenue is important. Is the important concept to learn, guys. If you are in the business major, revenue basically the money which the company received from selling the items. Okay. So the revenue, the total revenue is going to be basically the total number of car, for example, multiplied by selling price of the car. Okay. If they sell X amount of car with the selling price of S, so the total revenue is going to be S, which is basically selling price of the car multiplied by X number of cars. So that's going to be revenue. So revenue is going to be always selling price multiplied by number of items produced. Okay, not produced. Number of items sold. Number of items produced is very different than the number of items sold. Revenue is always the money which is coming to the company. Okay, it's going to be selling price multiplied by number of items. Okay. All right. So let's solve an example here. A car was sold for $12,000. Write the formula for total revenue of 10 if 10 cars were sold. Okay, so total revenue is going to be 10 multiplied by 12,000, right? So selling price is 12,000, and number of cars is 10. So 10 multiplied by 12,000 is going to be basically total revenue, right? So 12,000, 12,000, 12,000, and you have 10 of these guys. So it's going to be 10, 12,000. It's going to be $120,000. It's going to be total revenue. Okay. So that's how you calculate total revenue. Okay. And now net income. Net income is the difference between the total revenue and the total cost. Okay, so if the total revenue, basically, if you sell 10 cars, for example, and the money which you receive is going to be 120,000, and then you deduct the total cost from it, then you're going to have net income. So that's net income. The two concepts which you guys need to learn is net income and revenue. So that these are very important things. If in accounting is important, in business is important. So total revenue is just the money which comes to the company. Okay, the money which has come to company through sale, through commission, through whatever you call it, that's going to be total revenue. Okay, and then the net income, you have to deduct costs, the total cost from your revenue, to come up with the net income. So net income is basically the difference between the total revenue and the total cost. Okay, and if revenue is bigger than the cost, then there is a net profit. Okay, which is basically net income. Okay, and if it's if total revenue is less than total cost, then there is a net loss. Okay, so we say in business term, we say there's a net profit, which is the same as net income, right? So net profit and the net income is basically the same. And then if basically total revenue less than total cost, then we're going to have a loss. Okay, so this is going to be net loss instead of net profit. Okay, and in case that they have the total revenue is equal to total cost, then their business break even. Okay, so there are some businesses that they do net loss because they spend a lot of money. For example, a car factory. For example, they're producing cars and they have good revenue, they have good money, they have good income, but they decided to basically expand to different country, right? So this expand to like China or Mexico or whatever. They want to build another factory. So that building another factory require a lot of expenses, right? So that expense is basically that specific year. For example, that company might endure loss rather than profit, because the expenses of buying a new business is going to be buying a new factory and basically building a new factory is going to be huge. So that's why sometimes a good business report loss. Okay. So in this case, our case is much simpler, right? So our case, we have total revenue, which is X number of car basically multiplied by selling price, total cost, which is going to be total variable cost, plus a fixed cost, which total variable cost is going to be X multiplied by VC, like the variable cost, right? X is number of units, and then the fixed cost. Okay, so if you want to show it in graph form, so we have a fixed cost, we have total cost, basically it's going to be fixed cost plus total variable cost, right? It doesn't show it here. And now we have basically total revenue. Okay, and in the case that revenue is higher than total cost, then we have a profit, right? The green part means that we have a profit. Okay, and in case the total revenue is less than total cost, if it's less than total cost, then we have basically, this is total revenue. Okay, total revenue is less than total cost. In that case, in the red zone, we're in the red zone, which means we have net loss, right? We have loss. Okay, and in case that total revenue is equal to total cost, in the break point, this is called break even point, right? So in this case, we don't have any profit. Okay, we don't have any profit and we don't have any loss. Okay. And basically, the difference between total revenue and total cost is net profit, and also they call it net income as well. So in this case, we have net income. The difference is net income. Net income in this case is positive. In this case, net income is negative. Net income can be negative as well, right? So net income can be negative as well. So okay. As I said, this is the difference between total revenue and the total cost is net income. From total cost to fixed cost, we have total variable cost, which showed in this graph, and so on and so forth. Okay. so if in case that we have total revenue bigger than total costs, right? In this case, total revenue is bigger than total cost, then our net income is positive, right? Because we make more money. We make more money than we burn, right? So we make more money than we burn. So basically we have net income positive. Okay. Uh, yeah, total revenue and total cost. All right, so let's show it another way. So in the case that we have basically total revenue less than total cost, okay, in this case, for example, in this part of the graph that our total revenue is less than total cost, then the net income is negative, right? So because we make less money that we burn, right? We burn a lot of money, but we didn't make that much money, right? So that's basically our net income is negative, okay? So in that case, basically, you have a loss of minus an I, okay, which is net income. And in case that we have, they are the same, as we said, that the total revenue is equal to total cost, then net income is going to be 0. Basically, we don't make any income, but what we make, we burn. Basically, that's break-even time, break-even analysis. Okay. All right, let's do an example here. A business makes a total revenue of $12,000 and has total cost of $5,000. Calculate the net income. Okay, that's very, very easy, right? Total revenue is $12,000. The money which comes to the company is $12,000. And the money which the company burned is $5,000. So net income is going to be total revenue minus total cost, right? So it's going to be $12,000 minus $5,000. It's going to be $7,000, right? This is a very simple example. Okay. So the money, basically total revenue, is the money which is coming to the company, and total cost is the money which is going out from the company. Okay. Any question until here, guys? Let me see the chat. Let's see. We have someone waiting there. No one is waiting. Any question? All right, so let's do another example. I'll give you guys 5 minutes for this. A business makes a total revenue of $25,000 and total cost of $28,000. Calculate the net income. Okay, so you don't need 5 minutes. 3 minutes is enough. Okay. All right, the answer is, as you all guys suggested, is true, is C, minus 3,000, right? So, yeah, so total revenue is 25,000, total cost $28,000, total revenue minus total cost is going to be net income. So net income is going to be $25,000 minus $28,000, which is going to be minus $3,000. So minus $3,000 is going to be basically net income, which is going to be loss, right? So it's a loss, net loss of $3,000. Okay. All right. So what's the contribution margin? Contribution margin basically is the difference between the cost, the selling cost, and the variable cost of the unit, basically called contribution margin. So basically, what does it mean? Means that when you sell this item, okay, how much margin do you make? Margin in business term means profit. Okay, profit in business term, margin means profit. Okay, when you want to sell something, okay, you ask your business partner, how much margin do you want? Should I put on this? Okay, how much margin should I put on this? How much margin should we put on that? So in the company, they decide how much margin they put on any item. So and the margin, in other words, in business term means basically profit. So contribution margin per unit means that the margin that business put per unit, and the margin means just a profit per unit. And how do you calculate it? So per unit, you subtract the price per unit. So basically, you subtract the variable cost of the unit from the cost, okay, from the price, right? So variable cost of the unit from the price, it give you contribution margin, okay? So basically, contribution margin is the price of the unit minus variable cost, right? Not the fixed cost, okay? So that's basically that's a little different than than we discussed. Just the variable cost. So the price of the unit minus the variable cost of the unit is give you contribution margin, okay? So if the contribution amount from the sale of all units exceed the fixed cost of the period for a period, then there is a profit. Okay, so basically, if this contribution, so you have this contribution margin, right? So per car or per item, you know how much profit you make, right? So this is your margin, okay? And now if you sell enough cars or enough basically product, so that the number of this contribution margin, like 10 or 20 or 30 or 100, whatever you call it, so become more than a fixed cost or more than a fixed cost, then you have a profit, okay? So because you still have a fixed cost, right? This is a variable cost, right? This is a variable cost, but you still have a fixed cost, right? So it's contribution margin per unit, okay? You have like 100 unit, 20 unit, 30 unit, 200 unit. If the margin out of these 200 units with this contribution margin is more than the fixed cost, then you have a profit, okay? And if the contribution amount for all the sales, right, is less than the fixed cost, then there's a loss, okay? The contribution ratio is the ratio of the contribution margin to selling price and is expressed by a percent, okay? So the contribution ratio basically is contribution margin divided by selling price, okay? So what does it mean? It means how much profit basically per unit you want to put. You want to put 20%, 30%, 80%, 90%. So how much basically profit you want to put on this specific unit, on the specific unit that you sell, so that it cover your basically a fixed cost, right? So you still have a fixed cost, right? So if you're selling that chocolate, probably you want to put a lot of margin there, right? So you want to put a lot of margin so that it cover your rent, cover your electricity, cover your people who's selling it in the shop and all those things. So probably you want to put higher contribution ratio than just a car, right? So the car you can put less because your fixed cost is less, right? So basically, this is how you calculate contribution margin. Is going to be selling price minus variable cost, okay, for that unit, okay, and contribution ratio is going to be contribution margin divided by selling cost, okay, multiplied by 100. All right, so that's to discuss. Okay, determine the contribution margin per unit if for the following two items. Okay, so for example, a Tim Hortons coffee or the other coffee, okay, it's sell for $5. Like this is like a Starbucks. Always the coffee. The coffee is very expensive. It's Starbucks. $5 per coffee. Okay, and probably the cost for a Starbucks to make that coffee, I think, is less than a buck. The $1 is very optimistic, I would say. This $1 can go to the cup, probably the cup and the coffee. The coffee itself would probably like 25 cents. But the cup, basically the cup also cost Starbucks a little bit, right? So probably 50 cents or something like that. So I don't think that's $1 is going to be basically the cost variable cost for Starbucks. But these are let's say optimistically the variable cost for Starbucks is going to be $1. Okay, and then now they're selling it for $5. So the contribution margin for each coffee for a Starbucks is $4. Okay. And then let's look at another example. Is a toaster, right? The toaster, it costs you more, right? It costs to produce much more, right? So $24 to produce it, and the selling price is $30. Okay, so that's two examples. For example, here, and now you see the contribution ratio for coffee is basically much higher, right? Contribution ratio for coffee is much higher than contribution ratio for basically the toaster. Okay. Although basically the contribution margin for this is $4, but contribution margin for this is bigger, but the ratio for this is much bigger than the ratio for coffee is much bigger than the ratio for toaster. Okay. Okay, determine the contribution ratio for the following two items. So the coffee, let's find the contribution ratio. Contribution ratio for coffee is going to be contribution margin divided by selling price. Contribution margin is $4, right? 5 minus 1, right? Selling price minus variable cost, right? So it's 4 minus 5 minus 1 is getting 4. Selling price is 5, so 4 divided by 5 equals to the multiplied by 100. It's going to be 80%. So contribution ratio for coffee is 80%. Okay, and now for toaster, contribution ratio is going to be 6, which is going to be contribution margin, right? So contribution margin for this is selling price minus variable costs. So it's going to be 30 minus 24, which is going to be 6 divided by selling price, which is in this case is 30. So going to be 20%. So as you can see, contribution ratio for coffee is much higher than contribution ratio for toaster. Okay. Any question? Any question here? All right. Let's do another example. A company produced shavers and sell them at $70 each. Their total fixed costs are $8,000 per month. You see, this is the fixed cost, 8,000, okay, per month. Okay, so this is like exaggerating example. If you produce shavers, you need a lot of components, so you need a lot of people to make it. So $8,000 per month is the salaries of one people, okay, one person. But just look at it as an example, okay. And shavers, I don't know whether you can sell it for $70. I don't find any shavers less than $300, $400. Anyway, look at this example. A company produces shavers and sell them at $70 each. Their total fixed costs are $8,000 per month, and the variable cost per unit, like per shaver, is $30. Calculate the number of units needed to be produced per month to break even. Okay. So basically, in this case, selling so we need to know how many. So you sell it for $870, and your variable cost is 30, right? So per unit, you make $40 per unit, right? And now you want to know how many units you can make so that you break even. So basically, cover your fixed costs. Okay, how many units you can make that you cover your fixed costs? $40 is going to be your profit per unit, and you have $8,000 per month. So so it's going to be $8,000 divided by 40, right? So that's going to be 200 bucks, 200 units, okay? But let's solve it the way that the PowerPoint suggested, okay? So basically total revenue, okay? So let's presume that the number of items that sold in a month is X, okay? X is the number of items sold in a month. You can put any other variable too. You can put N. You can put whatever you want to put. So the number of units which is sold per month is, let's presume is X, okay? So the total revenue is going to be selling price multiplied by X, right? So total revenue is 770X, right? Selling price multiplied by X. And then total cost is going to be fixed cost plus total variable cost, right? So total cost, so it's going to be fixed cost, which is going to be $8,000 plus variable cost multiplied by number of units, right? Total variable cost, right? Total variable cost is going to be variable cost multiplied by number of units, right? So it's going to be $8,000 plus 30x, okay? So now total revenue has to be equal to total cost, right? If you wanna be break even, right? So if you wanna break even means that total revenue is equal to total cost. We know the equation, right? Total revenue is equal to total cost plus net income, right? And net income in this case is zero because you wanna break even, right? If you want to break even, then net income is going to be zero. So total revenue is going to be total cost, right? So it's going to be total revenue. So basically at break even, total revenue is equal to total cost. So 70x is equal to $8,000, which is fixed cost, plus 30x, right? The variable cost multiplied by number x, right? Number of items which is sell. So and you solve it for x. How do you solve it for x? You just put this 30x to the left side, subtract it from 70x, then you're gonna have 40x, right? So it's gonna be 40x, and 40x is equal to $8,000, and you solve for x. X is gonna be 8,000 divided by 40, so it's gonna be 200. Okay, so 200 need to be produced per month to break even. Okay, so that's the other way of selling it. Other way of basically solving the same equation, same question. Okay. I suggest you guys to learn this way, learn the proper way of doing it. Okay, so first find the total revenue, then first to find the total cost, then you make the equation, and then you solve for the number of items. That's the best way of doing it. Okay, you can do it in your head as well, like I did when I read the question. Say, okay, so per unit I'm selling 70. I'm selling 70, and my cost for per unit is 30. So per unit I make 40. So how many I have to make so that I break even? So how many I have to make that it covered my fixed costs, right? How many I have to make to cover my fixed costs? It's going to be 8,000 divided by 40. It's going to be 200, right? That's what I did in my head, but I don't suggest generally if the question is hard, don't do it in your head. Just use the equation. So you make the total revenue first. The total revenue is going to be selling cost multiplied by number of item, right? Selling cost multiplied by number of item. Then make total cost, which is going to be fixed cost plus total variable cost. And the fixed cost is going to be $8,000. Total variable cost is going to be variable cost multiplied by X, number of units, right? So variable cost is 30, so it's going to be 30X. So we have 70x equal to $8,000 plus 30x, and then you solve for x. Okay, that's the best way of doing it. Any question here, guys? All right, no question. Let's go for the next example. Okay, I'll give you guys 5 minutes for this. A company produce a standing desk and sell them for $200 each. Their fixed costs are $12,000 per month, and the variable cost per unit is $120. Calculate the number of units needs to be produced per month to break even. Okay, this is very similar to last example. I'll give you 5 minutes for this. All right. Yeah, so I got a lot of D here. Okay, got a lot of D. Let's see. Yeah, D is right. All right. So, okay, let's solve it the same way as we solved the other example, right? So one way to solve it, you can do it in your head, right? So what you can do it in your head, basically, you sell it for 200 and cost is 220. So basically 80 bucks is going to be your profit per unit, your contribution margin per unit, right? So 80 bucks, right? And then how many units you have to sell to cover your fixed costs, right? So that give you break even, right? So it's going to be 12,000 divided by 80. It's going to be 150. So you can do it in your head, but I wouldn't recommend to do that if you're not comfortable with that. So I would recommend to use the equation. So if the equation is, let's presume that the number of items which is sold is X to break even. And now how much total revenue you're gonna have? It's gonna be 200x, right? 200x is gonna be total revenue. How much total cost you're gonna have? It's gonna be fixed cost plus total variable cost, right? So fixed cost is gonna be 12,000. Total variable cost is gonna be 120 by x, right? So 12,000 120 by x, and now for break even, the revenue has to be equal to total cost. Okay, so total revenue is 200x, and it's going to be the total cost 12,000 minus plus 120x, and now you wanna isolate for x. You wanna know how much x is going to be, right? So to do that, you need to move 120x from right side to the left side. So you subtract 120x from both sides. So now this 120x and minus 100 is going to be eliminated, and now you have 200x minus 120x is going to be 80x, right? So 200 minus 120 is going to be 80x, and then it's going to be 12,000, and then 8x is going to be 12,000 divided by 80, right? So it's going to be 150. So yeah, 150 is the right number. Okay. Any question here? I don't see too many of you guys solve this. Let me know if you have a question doing this, okay? Okay, if you have questions, let me know, okay? All right, so let's do another example together. I'll give you a few minutes for this, 5 minutes for this. A paper manufacturing company must produce 25,000 rems to break even and has total fixed cost of 40,000. Okay, in this case, give you the number of items. Okay, 25,000. The variable costs are $2 per rem. Calculate the total revenue per annum required to break even and the selling price per rem. Okay, so in this case, it give you the X. Okay, so it give you the number of item, and now the unknown in this case is basically selling price. Okay, you can still use the same equation. In this case, the S is going to be unknown. Okay, so I give you 5 minutes for this as well.
What is annum?
What did you ask, Vivian?
What is annum when I ask? Is it an item? Like it's a
The REM, REAM, REM,
ENNUM per
annum, per year.
year.
Total
Oh,
revenue per. Oh, so this is basically everything is per year, revenue per year. So this is $40,000 per year, and this is $25,000,
sorry for that.
per year. Annum means per year,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Just it doesn't really matter because the whole thing is per year, so you don't need to convert anything. Okay. If it was just a fixed cost per month, fixed cost like 40,000 per month, then you need to convert this to a year. But in this case,
Just say it doesn't mention. It didn't mention at the beginning, so it was.
So you presume everything's per year, okay?
Yeah, because English is not my first language, so it's easy to get confused sometimes.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we got quite a lot of A. Okay, let's see what's the answer. Yes, A is right. Congratulations to you guys. All right, so let's solve it together, okay? So at breakpoint, okay, at break-even point, right? We have total revenue is equal to total cost, right? So we need to make total revenue, and also we need to make total cost. So what's the total revenue? If the selling price is S, okay, and we don't know the S, so it's going to be selling price multiplied with number of items which is sold, right? So it's going to be selling price. Let's see. All right. So okay. So I started from this guy. Okay, I start from this guy. So total revenue is going to be selling price multiplied number of item which sold, In this case, we have number of items sold, right? 25,000, and we don't know what's the selling price. Okay, so now total revenue is going to be this. Okay, now let's look at the total cost. Total cost is going to be fixed cost plus total variable cost. Fixed cost in this case $40,000. Total variable cost is going to be number of items sold multiplied by variable cost, right? Number of items 25,000 multiplied by my variable cost, which is going to be $2, right? Variable cost $2. So it's going to be 90,000, right? 40,000 plus 50,000 is going to be 90,000. So 90,000 is going to be total cost, which is at break even is going to be total revenue. So total revenue in this case is S multiplied by X, the selling cost multiplied by number of items sold. So basically 90,000 is going to be 25,000 S. So S is going to be basically 90,000 divided by 25,000, right? So S and then 25,000 is going to be 3.6. That's the S, and the total revenue is going to be 90,000, right? Total revenue is 90,000. So that's what's asked. That's the question asked, right? Total revenue 90,000 and S is going to be 3.6. Yeah. All right, so there are some assumption limitation present in break-even analysis and cost volume profit analysis in this chapter. Okay, so we made some assumptions, right? So selling price per unit is constant and not affected by change in number of units sold. Okay, so basically the selling price we presume selling price is constant and basically not changed by the number of items. Okay, so for example, if you sell, generally it's not the case, right? So generally when you produce mass produce something, you reduce the price, right? If you produce less, you put the higher, you put price higher. Okay, but generally it's not true. But we made this assumption that the total revenue is a linear function. But what does it mean? Linear means if you produce 10, you have 10s. If you produce 100, it's going to be 100s. And if you produce 1,000, if you sell 1,000, it's going to be 100s, which S is going to be selling price per unit. Okay, so that's what does it mean linear? Okay, it means basically total revenue is just going to be number of items sold divided by selling price. Okay, and so the other assumption which you made is quantity of items. X produced equal to quantity of items sold. So yes, the other assumption which you made is that production generally is not the case, right? You produce like 1,000 items, but you can't sell them all, right? Some of them are bad. The market sometimes is down. People don't want to buy it, and then you have to get rid of some of it. So some of them get bad if it's like a cake or something eatable. Some of them get really bad. You have to get rid of them. So it just generally is not true that whatever you produce, you sell it. Okay, but we assume here that whatever we sell, whatever we produce, we sell it. Okay, but whatever we produce is sold. Basically, that's what another assumption which we made. And also another assumption, fixed cost remained the same throughout the specific period. The other assumption also we made for all this example is that the fixed cost is always fixed. Okay, so it doesn't change over months or over a year. So it's not really true, right? If you work in a factory, okay, the factory electricity, for example, in the winter time is more, right? Because you have to pay for heating, right? For heating as well, right? So basically, the generally fixed costs change every month, right? Generally, right? Because in the winter time, you have to also pay for heat, right? From electricity, pay for heat to keep the factory warm. People want to work there, right? So that's why in winter time the fixed costs generally are higher than the summertime, because summertime you can open the window and whatever. So right now, after 4 or 5 months of cold weather in Toronto, we get some warm days. I'm very happy for that. So it's just it was really hard hard winter, I would say. So I'm very happy that we get some warm weather. We turn off the heater and then we enjoy the weather. So as I said, the fixed cost is just we presume the fixed cost is same. Okay, it's same. The other assumption which we made is variable cost per unit is constant, not affected by changing number of units. So basically, the other assumption which you made is variable cost per unit. So for example, cost of making a unit is fixed. Okay, it's not generally the case, right? So because sometimes if you make a lot of unit, then you can buy the raw material cheaper, right? So you, rather than buying like raw material like 2 kilogram of wheat, for example, if you make bread, right? 2 kilogram of wheat for making like 140 bread or 20 bread is very, it could cost you more than if you buy like 500 kilogram or a ton or two ton or 3 ton, right? So 3 ton, you want to buy 3 ton, so you probably get more discount. You get more discount if you get a lot. You buy a lot of wheat, right? So you get more discount, then the cost per unit is gonna reduce, right? But we presume here that the cost per unit is also constant. So that's what we presume. The other assumption, which is not really relevant here, is just if you make multiple products in a company, the ratio of the various products remains constant. So it means that the company or factory doesn't spend more time on one product than the other product. This is not too relevant to our example, but this is the four item above is in real world is just not true. So, but we presume that's true. Okay. All right, so the one more note about break-even point. The break-even point in a business is when the total revenue from the sale is equal to total cost. The break-even point may be expressed in terms of number of units produced or in terms of total revenue. Okay, so we can lower the break-even point. Like maybe we can basically, if the break-even point become lower, is better for the business, right? Because the cost is going to be lower, right? So break-even point basically is going to be fixed cost plus total variable cost, right? So if you lower break-even point, then we're going to have more profit, right? If we have the same sale, and we have lower break-even point, that's is better for us, right? Because we get more profit, right? So we can reduce the break-even point by reducing the variable cost per unit, by using more cost-effective scheduling or technology, right? So we can basically we can reduce the variable cost for basically producing, I don't know, whatever car or whatever it is, by using a new technology. So it means basically use robots instead of humans, right? So using robots instead of humans, so basically you don't need to pay for labor anymore. So that's saving cost, right? So, and also a bunch of other stuff. So you can do a new technology to basically reduce the cost, okay? And also we can reduce the fixed cost by using cost control measures in marketing, rental, and all those things. So you can basically reduce your fixed costs if you basically find for example, this is reducing fixed costs. Okay, fixed costs. I mean, it's the most important fixed cost we can consider is basically the rent, right? So basically, you're renting a shop to produce a chocolate, right? So whatever. Okay, and then now you say, okay, so why I rent very big amount for a shop which is in the city? Why I just don't go out of the city, buy something which is cheaper, like rent something which is much cheaper, and then now if I reduce my fixed costs, okay, and then you can reduce your fixed costs, which is rental, basically, if you move your shop basically to other city, right? So that's one way of reduction, okay. And also you can increase the selling price, but that's going to be basically have some diminishing return, right? So if you increase selling price so much that your competitors, now that the competitor is selling you less than you, then you're in trouble, right? No one's going to buy from you and all those things. So this is kind of tricky, but you definitely, if you increase the selling price, then it means that your revenue go up. Then your revenue go up basically, and your cost is fixed, and you have the your break-even point is fixed basically. Then you have more profit. Okay. And this is something else. So this is basically when you calculate the number of units, you have to round up to the next unit. So that's something that we learned in the example. Okay. Okay, so one more thing before we go to the break, just using the calculator, using calculator to find the break-even points. Okay, so let's do that together. So let's go to calculator here. All right, so let me quit this here. So now, if you use calculator to find break-even point, or the profit, basically, you do use second break even, right? So in this case, you have fixed cost. Let me second clear work. So in this case, you have fixed cost, variable cost, P, which is selling price, that's equivalent to S, PFT, which is profit, which is equivalent to net income, and Q, which is the number of units. So you have 5 items: fixed cost, variable cost, P, which is the selling price, S, PFT, which is net income, and the Q, which is number of product. Okay. So now let's do it together. In an example, for example, fixed cost is going to be, for example, for a Starbucks, right? Fixed cost is going to be for Starbucks. Let's say fixed cost is going to be 0.5, 50 cents. Variable cost for a cup of coffee, for an Americano, 25 cents for a Starbucks, right? And now price, they put the price at $5, right? They sell you very expensive coffee in Starbucks, okay? $5, and now we want to know. So what do you want to know? What do you want to know? Let's first see what we want to know. We want to know what's the break-even point if the let's say what's the break-even. So let's assume that Starbucks doesn't make any profit. So profit is going to be 0. Now let's see how many quantity they have to sell. Oh, okay, so now the fixed cost is more than that, right? Fixed cost has to be, let's say, one Starbucks fixed cost per month is going to be like $10,000. Okay, let's assume that. Okay, so fixed cost $10,000. The variable cost for each cup of coffee, let's say $1. Okay, like the whole thing, like the coffee and the cup and all those things. They sell it for $5, and they don't make any profit, which is not the case for a Starbucks. And let's see how many quantity they have to sell so that we can break even. So 2,500 coffee they have to sell to become break even, basically no profit. Okay, and now if you want to put more profit, let's say Starbucks, each branch make like $20,000 profit per month, right? So now $20,000 per month. Now let's go to number of item and then do CPT. So it's 7,500, right? All right, sorry, but I got disconnected. Sorry, guys. Do you have me? Do you guys can you guys listen to me now?
Yes, we can listen you, the professor, but unable to see.
You don't see me?
No.
Oh, that's weird.
Now I can see you.
Oh, you can see me now?
Yeah, I can see you now. Yeah.
So I don't know when we disconnected. So let me. Okay. So did you go? Okay. So the financial calculator, I explained it to you guys, right?
Yes.
So let me just share my screen again. And last example, probably we lost you guys in the last example. So let me. All right. So this is the last example. Okay. So we already talked about the financial calculator, right? So we said that how can we set this stuff in financial calculator? Now let's solve this example using financial calculator, and then we take a break. Okay. So the selling item is $60, right? $60 is going to be selling item. Let me just clear everything here. So now, as I said, let's quit. Okay. So second break even, right? You go. Okay. Let me quit. Second break even take you to basically break even analysis. Call it. Okay. So fixed cost is equal to $2,000. $2,000 is going to be fixed cost. Now variable cost is 15. 15 is going to be variable cost. Now selling price is 60. 60 is going to be selling price. Profit in this case is because we want to look at break even. Profit is going to be 0, right? So we want to look at the break even. And now Q, number of quantity, is 44.44. Okay. So basically 44.44, but they don't have 44.44 though, right? So you need to round it up. So it's going to be 45. So you need 45 need to be sold so that you become break even. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm just gonna. So any question here before we take a break?
Yes, professor. If the answer would have been the 44 point, suppose 111. So still we're going to round it to 45.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Always 40. Always one number above. Always one number above. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Always one number above for break-even analysis. Yes. Any other question? Good question, though. Very good question, Priyanshi. Very good question. Any other question? Any other question? All right. So I will let you guys go, but probably I'm gonna be disconnected again because I connected to my mobile hotspot. So I look like my house internet has some problem. So and I can't use my hotspot for a couple of hours. Probably I'm going to be disconnected and then connected again. So I just let you guys know. Okay. I need to restart my modem probably. Okay. All right, guys. So talk to you in 15 minutes. Okay. All right, guys. All right, so welcome back. All right, so I just want to talk a little bit about your basically next week test, right? So next week you're gonna have. You see my screen, though, right? You see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So test 3, right? So that's gonna be your next week test, guys. Don't forget that, it's important. Start Monday at basically noon, at basically Monday, right? So midnight Sunday, basically that's the starting time. Midnight Sunday, 12 a.m. Monday means that just Monday that's gonna start and goes to midnight Thursday. So basically, you have 4 days, right? Let me see: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yes, 4 days. Okay. So 4 days you have to do this test. We will have our class next Wednesday. So you probably wanna wait after the class, or if you're comfortable, just go do it before the class. So you guys are very smart. So you can do it before the class for sure. So next class is going to be on the overview of what we learned past 4 weeks after test 2. Okay. There's going to be overview of that. So I'm just going to put together some slides, not too much stuff, right? So I just kind of put some slides together and explain what we learned. Okay. It's some example probably. Okay. But I recommend, so generally the question and answer session is next week is going to be question and answer. Okay, most instructors basically they don't prepare anything. They just come and answer the question from the students and they leave. Okay, but for my case, I prepare overview session, which can be like an hour or something like that. So, and I wait for question. If you have question, just bring it over to class. We can go together, solve it together, and so on and so forth. So it's better to bring your question. So although I will prepare an overview, it's gonna be an hour, 1 hour. So it's gonna be a very short session. So. But yes, so test 3 is important. Make sure you do the test 3. And also the lab 9 is going to be expired in, lesson lab 9 is going to be expired in 4 days. So make sure you do the lesson lab 9 as well. And basically lesson lab 10 as well. So it's lesson lab 10. After you do the test, you do the lesson lab test. So 10, I would suggest you guys do lesson lab 10 before the test 3, okay? Before test 3, do the lesson lab 10, because just fresh your mind about the stuff that you learned today. Actually, this is today lecture, okay? Probably you want to do it after the lecture, because still this stuff is in your mind and it's fresh. I think you want to do it after this lecture. You want to do the lesson and lab. You do the lesson first and then the lab second, okay? Yeah, so that's all I want to say. So just make sure you don't miss the test 3, although we're going to meet again next week and discuss about that as well. So yeah, so any question before we go for the second part of the lecture? All right, no questions. I'm gonna basically open up the PowerPoint for lecture. All right, so this is basically continuation of what we learned in past hour. Basically, cost volume profit analysis. This is the same thing, same equation. We're gonna go over again. So basically the same stuff we're gonna go over again, and then look at it at a different point of view. Okay, but basically the equation is the same. The whole thing is gonna be the same, but we're gonna look at a different point of view, because I'm guessing you guys want to start your own business, or you wanna work for a business as a business analysis or a business manager or something like that. So it's important for you guys to know the concept of revenue, concept of net income, concept of fixed cost, variable cost, and all these concepts. It's important to know that, right? So you know what's a revenue. Basically, revenue is all the money which comes to company during 1 year, basically. Generally, is 1 year, but sometimes quarterly, right? Some companies do the financial analysis quarterly. So every quarter they go bring up their basically revenue. So as I said, the revenue, the whole money, all the money which is coming to company, okay, regardless of it is a sale, is a commission, is just maybe the company rent his car to someone else or whatever. So just every money comes to the company considered revenue, except the money that the shareholders basically put in the company. The money that the shareholder put in the company is called advance. So basically, sometimes company running really bad, and shareholder wants to pump some money in the company. So except that money, all that money which is coming to the company called revenue. So you basically is the revenue, and all the cost basically coming out of the company basically is going to be cost, and then the difference is going to be net income. Okay, so the difference between the revenue and the costs are net income of the company. Sometimes companies are basic net income is negative, sometimes positive. So for example, my company last year I was negative, but the 2 years ago I was positive. So it's just depend on how much expenses I have and all those things. So it's depend on that. Okay. Anyway, so let's go back to the course. The cost volume profit analysis. Examine the relationship among fixed costs, variable cost per unit, selling price per unit, and total cost, total revenue, net income, and sale volume. You learn all of these guys, right? So you learn fixed cost, you learn variable cost per unit, you learn selling price per unit, you learn total cost, you learn total revenue, you know, net income, sale volume, and etc. So basically, what we have the chart here is the basic total variable cost is going to be variable cost multiplied by quantity. Okay, so it's going to be total variable cost, and then basically you add this total variable cost with fixed cost, which is going to give you total cost. Okay, so the total cost is going to be fixed cost plus total variable cost. Okay, and this amount has to be subtracted from total revenue. For this case, the total revenue is just selling price of any item multiplied by quantity of that item. Okay, so X is going to be number of item, and S is going to be selling price. So X might multiply by S is going to be give you basically total revenue, and you have total revenue, and then you have total cost. You subtract these two guys from each other. So the total cost from revenue, sorry, you subtract total cost from revenue and give you to net income. Okay, so that's how the structure, how is structure. So total revenue is basically the number of item multiplied by selling price. Total cost is fixed cost plus total variable cost, and total variable cost is going to be variable cost multiplied by number of item that is produced. Okay, and net income is going to be total revenue minus total cost. Okay. All right. So as we said, basically you can look at the other way. So net income is going to be total in terms of mathematically, net income is going to be total revenue minus total cost, and total revenue in this case is going to be number of items which sold multiplied by selling price. Total cost is going to be fixed cost plus total variable cost, and then you can just make it like this. So it's going to be total revenue is called fixed cost plus total variable cost plus net income, right? And if you replace this total variable cost with the number of the variable cost multiplied by X, then you're going to have this equation. So it's going to be total revenue, which is going to be X multiplied by S, the selling price by number of item, equal to fixed cost, plus number of item multiplied by variable cost, plus net income. Okay, that's the equation. So if total revenue is bigger than total cost, basically if S multiplied by X bigger than FC plus VC multiplied by X, then net income is positive. Okay, so basically if total revenue is bigger than total cost, basically total cost is fixed cost plus total variable cost, right? So if the total revenue is bigger than these two guys, then they have a profit which is positive, okay? So, and then basically what you can do also, if sometimes in question asks you what is X number of item, if you have this fixed cost and this net income, then basically you can do this, okay? You can know, you basically, you can find X number of item. If, okay, so in some example, they ask you, what's the quantity of the item which is sold, okay? And they give you fixed cost, they give you net income, and they give you selling price, and they give you also the variable cost, okay? Then you can use this equation to find X, okay? So X is going to be fixed cost plus net income divided by contribution margin, right? This S minus VC is contribution margin, right? You remember? Contribution margin was selling price minus variable cost, right? For each item, so contribution margin. So X is going to be FC divided plus NI divided by S minus VC, okay? If in the case that net income is 0, then the total revenue is going to be basically, you remove this and total, this is going to be break even, right? So in break even case, total revenue is going to be total cost. In this case is a break even, it's going to be a break even case. And basically, and then break even case, the X break even, you can also find this equation. If they ask you for it, what's the X break even, is going to be fixed cost with no income anymore, right? So fixed cost divided by contribution margin, which is going to be selling price minus variable cost, okay? Using the same equation, okay? And if net income is negative, in that case, then basically you use the same equation, but in this case you have to use negative part, negative and net income. So this is a positive quantity. So and I is a positive quantity, then you use minus that guy. Okay. So in this case, your total revenue basically is less than your cost, fixed cost plus total variable cost, which results in negative income. Okay, negative net income. Okay, you still have income. Okay, so it's very important, net income and gross income. Okay, so this is another term. I think you guys need to take some accounting courses as well. If you want to run a business, this is my suggestion, guys. If you want to run a business, or if you want to work for a business, you definitely need to know some accounting as well. Okay, so to be familiar with these terms like net income, revenue, total income, gross income. These are the really basic things you need to basically know as accounting. So you at least get a couple of accounting courses as well if you're doing this program, so that you become familiar with all the accounting terms. This is very, 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 very important for business owner to know accounting, because there's a lot of things you can do when you're filing tax for your business. Okay, is important, so you can get the good tax back. You can play around a lot. So if you know good accounting, okay. Anyway, so go back again to the course. We're diverging a little bit. These are last basically sessions of our course, and I'm really happy that I teach this course to you guys. I hope you get something back from this course for the rest of your career. So anyway, so as I said, is the X, the number of items we sold, is going to be fixed cost minus net income divided by S minus VC in the case that net income is negative. Okay, if it's negative, then it's going to be like this. This is, as I said, it's going to be contribution margin. Okay. All right, so let's solve an example. Jamie has a tire manufacturing company that can produce a maximum of 4,000 tires per annum. Okay, per annum, guys. Okay, it means per year. Okay, but sometimes they give you fixed costs per month. Just make sure that the fixed costs also per annum. So sometimes some of the questions are tricky. They give you fixed costs per month, but they tell you how many cars per annum, right? So just make sure that everything is in per annum now. Okay. So 4,000 tires per annum that the Jamie car produce, and then the fixed cost per annum is $70,000. The variable costs are $50 per tire, and the selling price is $100 per unit. Okay, calculate the number of tires to produce and sell per year to break even. Okay, so the break even, as I said, total revenue need to be total cost. So in this case, basically, okay, so so it said 4,000. So this is interesting. So it said maximum $4,000 per annum. Okay, it doesn't say it does make 4,000. So because they give you the quantity. Okay, so this is the tricky part of the question. They give you quantity of tires. They give you fixed cost. They give you this variable cost. They give you also selling price. So now they give you everything, right? So what do you need to solve for, right? It's a very tricky question. So now it said maximum $4,000 per tire. It doesn't mean that it does produce that amount of tires. You need to know what's the break-even price. Okay. So for the break-even price, basically total revenue has to be equal to total cost, right? So total revenue in this case is going to be selling price multiplied by number of unit, which is going to be 100x. 100x, number of units is x. And total cost is going to be fixed cost, $70,000, plus total variable cost, which is going to be 50 multiplied by x. Now you solve for x, okay? So total revenue is equal to the cost for break even, right? So now you solve for x. X is going to be 1,400. But I said produce. You have to read the question. A maximum of 4,000 tires per annum. So this is basically 1,400 of those. The Jamie car manufacturing company is going to be break even if they sell 1,400 tire per year. Okay. Now that the capacity is even more, right? So it's the maximum capacity, right? So that's even more than this. So basically, whatever it produces more than 1,400, it's going to be profit, right? So that's okay. So that's basically the answer is 1,400 tire to break even. Now calculate the number of tires to produce and sell per year to break even that we did already. So okay, so using the calculator, let's do it in calculator as well. Let's do it in sorry, let's do it in calculator. Let me just clear everything here in calculator. Quit first, and then go again to break even. Okay, break even. Now everything's cleared. Let's clear one more time. Now fixed cost is 70,000, right? And next one is variable cost. Variable cost is 50. Next question, price. Price is selling price 100. Next one, profit 0, right? Because we want to look at the break even, right? Profit is 0. And now we want to know what's the quantity. CPT on quantity give you 1,400. Okay. So 1,400 tires is going to be number of tires that's make you break even. Okay. So now another question. In 2017, Jamie produced and sold 1,000 tires. Did she make a profit or incur a loss, and by what amount? Okay. So basically 1,000 tires, right? So we know at 1,400 tires, she's going to break even, right? So now produce 1,000 tires. So definitely it's going to be a loss. And how much loss is going to be? We need to find what's the total revenue. We need to find what's the total cost, and we deduct total cost from total revenue to find what's the amount of the loss. Okay. So now let's do that together. So total revenue is going to be sell amount by the number, which is going to be $100. The price for to sell, and 1,000 items, right? 1,000 tires. So it's going to be $100,000 basically total revenue, and total cost is going to be fixed cost, which is 70,000 plus 50 variable cost multiplied by 1,000. Okay, so it's going to be 120,000. Okay, so that's going to be total cost, and that's the total revenue. And net income is going to be total revenue, guys, minus total cost. Okay, don't do it the other way. Total revenue minus total cost is going to give you no net income. So in this case, net income is negative 20,000. So it's going to be $20,000 loss in 2017. Okay. Do it in calculator way. Let's do it in calculator way as well. So in the calculator way, Q, you just need to change the Q. You put the Q to 1,000, enter. And now you go to profit and CPT minus 20,000. Okay, the rest is going to be the same, right? The price, fixed cost, variable cost, price, and the Q now is 1,000, right? So now you want just to know what's the profit. So you go to profit and do CPT, okay, minus 20,000. Okay, so that $20,000 loss is going to be this. So in 2018, produced and sold 3,000 tires. Did she make a profit or incur a loss, and by what amount? We do the same thing. 3,000 tire. Now 3,000 is more than 1,400. Definitely, it's going to be a profit. So we want to know how much amount of profit. Okay. So total revenue is going to be again selling price multiplied by the number of tires. So selling price is 100. Tires 3,000 is going to be 300,000. Total cost is going to be 70,000. Fixed cost plus variable cost multiplied by X. 70,000 plus variable cost is going to be 50 multiplied by the number of tires, which is going to be 3,000. So 70,000. So it's going to be 220,000. Net income is going to be total revenue minus total cost, which is going to be 300,000 minus 220, which is going to be $80,000. So that's going to be a net income or the profit. Okay. So how do you do it again in calculator? Let's do it in calculator. Fixed cost is the same, variable cost is the same, price is the same. Now what changed here? It changed just the number. The number from 1,000 becomes 3,000. Okay. 3,000. Enter. Now you go to profit and CPT on profit 80,000. Right. So 80,000 is going to be the profit. Any question on this, guys? Any question? All right. Any questions so far? Because of calculator and all this thing? Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right. So last one. In 2019, the manufacturing plant operated at 90% capacity to produce and sell tires. Calculate the profit made or loss incurred. Okay. So 90% capacity. The total capacity, the maximum tire produced per year is going to be 4,000. So 90% capacity is going to be 90% of 4,000. So it's going to be how many? 3,600. So 300,600 tires produced in 2019. And now, again, total revenue is going to be selling price by 3,600. It's going to be 360,000. Total cost is going to be fixed cost for variable cost. Total variable cost is going to be variable cost multiplied by X, 70,000 versus 50, 3,600. Where that 3,600 came from? Came from 90% of the total capacity, right? So 90% of 4,000, okay? So that's going to be 250,000. And net income is going to be total revenue minus total cost, which is going to be 110,000, right? So again, go back to financial calculator. Everything is going to be the same except the Q, the number of quantity, the quantity value, that Q, right? Quantity value. It's going to be 3,600. And now we're going to go to profit and 110,000. Okay, so 110,000 again. Okay. The financial calculator, the last one. In 2020, Jamie wanted a profit of $60,000. Find the number of tires that she would have to produce and sell, and the level of capacity. This represents. Okay. So okay. Now in this case, the Q is unknown, but give you the profit. Okay. So now let's use the same equation. Total revenue is equal to total cost plus net income, which is profit, right? So let's do that. So net income is going to be total revenue minus total cost, right? So total revenue S by X. In this case, X is unknown, right? X, we don't know what's X. And now we know the rest of it. So we know net income, we know S, we know FC, we know VC. We just don't know what's X. Okay. So just let's put them together. Net income is equal to total revenue 100X, right? 100 selling price multiplied by X minus FC, which is going to be 70,000 minus why? Because it's minus coming inside, right? So minus 50 multiplied by X. 50 is a variable cost by X. Now you have to solve for X. Okay, so 100X minus 50X is going to be 50X. So it's going to be 50X. All right. So anyway, you guys know how to do it, right? So 100X minus 50X is going to be 50X, and 70,000 has to go from right to left. So 130,000 is going to be 50X. Okay, so $130,000 is going to be 50X, and then 50x is going to be, and then x is going to be $130,000 divided by 50, 2,600. So 2,600 is the number of tires had to sell to get the $60,000 profit. Okay, and now 2,600 is going to be what percentage of the capacity? So 2,600 divided by 4,000 multiplied by 100, right? So what percentage of capacity? 2,600 divided by 4,000 multiplied by 100 is going to be 65% capacity. Okay, so that's how we do it. Now probably want to use it in calculator as well. In this case, in calculator, the profit is known, right? Profit is going to be 60,000. And the rest is known, right? The rest is the same. Just want to know what's the quantity, CPT on quantity, 2,600. Okay, much easier to use calculator, but just a little bit of practice. So 2,600 is going to be this, and the 2,600 is going to be 65% capacity. Why? Because 2,600 divided by 4,000 multiplied by 100 is going to be 65%. Okay. All right. I thought that one is the last one. What is the maximum profit per annum that you can expect from this facility? Maximum profit is when you work with maximum capacity, right? And you use maximum capacity, you get maximum profit. So maximum profit is going to be total revenue for basically maximum profit is maximum capacity. So maximum profit is going to be total revenue, which is selling price multiplied by number maximum, 4,000, 400,000. And the cost is going to be a fixed cost plus 50 by 4,000, that's going to 270,000. So net income is going to be 400,000 minus 270,000, which is going to be $130,000. That's the maximum profit you can expect from this facility. Okay. And again, if you want to use the financial calculator, now in this case, you have the 4,000 as the maximum capacity, and you know how much is going to be profit. You want to know how much is the profit, which is going to be 130,000. Okay. All right. Okay, let's do one more example. I think these are the last example we could have. Sanjay runs a furniture manufacturing company. He has a fixed cost of $33,000 per month and variable cost of 40 per unit. He sells each unit for 50. Okay, so the contribution margin is going to be 10, right? So contribution margin is selling price minus variable cost is going to be $10. Calculate his break-even analysis, volume and revenue per month. Okay, so break-even volume is going to be then the volume when the basically this total revenue is going to be the total cost. So basically total revenue in this case is going to be 50 multiplied. We don't know the X, right? We don't know the number of units, right? So X is unknown. So 50 multiplied by X is going to be total revenue. Total cost is going to be fixed cost, 3,000 plus variable cost multiplied by X, number X, which you don't know. And total revenue has to be equal to total cost when you do break even. So X is going to be 300, right? So 300 is going to be X, okay? So it's going to be number of units that has to sell to break even, okay? And what's going to be the revenue per month? The revenue is going to be the basic total revenue. It has selling price multiplied by X. I already know what's X, okay? So revenue is going to be basically 300 multiplied by 50, which is going to be 15,000, okay? Let's do this also in financial calculator again. Let's just clear everything. Financial calculator. We are doing a different example. Fixed cost is 3,000. Variable cost is 40. Price is 50. The selling price 50. Profit is 0 because we are looking at the break even, right? And now you go to Q and do CPT 300. Okay, so 300 is going to be the number of units. Okay, and revenue is going to be selling price multiplied by number of units, which is going to be 50 by 300, 15,000. Okay, okay. Second question: if he increases his selling price by 10%, calculate his new break-even volume per month. Okay. Now selling price increased by 10%. So 10% of 50 is going to be 5 and increased by 5. So it's new selling price is going to be 55, right? So you have 50 foot. So 10% is going to be 1.1. Like this 10%. 1.1 by 50 is going to be 55. Or you can do the other by 0.1 by 50 is going to be 5, and you add it with the 50. Okay, it's going to be 55. The other way. Just both ways are correct. Okay, you either can do 10% of 50 and add it to 50, or you do 1.150. Okay, that's the same way. Okay, now new selling price is 55, and then you do that at TR again. In this case, again, X is unknown. You want to know what's the volume? What's the volume, right? The break-even volume. Volume is number of units. Okay, volume is number of units. Okay, break-even volume. What does it mean? Is just number of units. Does it say volume? It means just number of units. Okay, so TR is just the X is unknown. Again, you make the fixed cost $3,000 plus 40X, and now for break-even, you need to have revenue equal to cost. Which is going to be 55 is equal to 3000x. You move 40x from right side to left side, you find it will become 15x because of 3000, and you do the simple linear algebra to find x. Okay, x is going to 200. Okay, and if you want to do it in financial calculator again, you go back to financial calculator. Now in this case, the price is increased, right? So fixed cost is the same, variable cost is the same. But price is 55 now, and profit is still 0, and you go for Q is 200. Okay, Q is 200. All right, and third one, if he reduced his fixed cost by 250 per month. Okay, so now instead of $3,000 fixed cost, he reduced it to 200. Reduced his fixed cost by 250 per month. It means this is reduced by 250, so it has to be 2,750, right? So this amount has to be deducted from this. This doesn't mean that the fixed cost is now 250. It's not. It means that reduced from 3,000 by 250 bucks. It means you have to deduct 250 from 3,000. Okay. With no change to the variable cost and selling price, calculate his new break-even volume per month. Okay, now the same thing again. As I said, the new fixed cost is going to be $3,000 minus 250 per month. Okay, minus 250. Okay, this is 2,750. This doesn't mean that the new fixed cost is 250. Okay, it's very important. If he reduces his fixed cost by 250 per month. Okay. Just make sure you read the question correctly, guys. Okay, sometimes this is just deceiving. Okay, so now you have to reduce. You reduce 250 from 3,000, so it's going to be 2,750. Now you have new fixed cost, and now for the new fixed cost, you need to go to the same calculation. Total revenue is going to be 50 by X. Total cost is going to be 2,750 in this case by plus 40X, and now you have to solve for X. Same as before, so X is going to be 275. Okay, so if you want to do it in financial calculator, everything's the same except the fixed cost, right? The fixed cost now is 2,750. There's a 6 fixed cost, variable cost the same. Price is 50, right? Price is also 50. Profit is 0 because we are looking at the break-even analysis, and then CPT 275. Okay. So the number of items 275. Okay. All right. So one more time. If his fixed cost increased by 5%, okay. So now this fixed cost increased by 5%. Okay. So you have to calculate 5% of this guy and add it to this guy. Okay. So it's going to be 1.05 multiplied by 3,000. Okay. Or 5% of 3,000 plus 3,000. Okay. And he decreased his selling price, and now selling price also decreased. This guy decreased by 10%. So 10% of this guy, you calculate it and subtract it from it. So 10% of 50 is going to be 5, and subtracted from 50 is going to be 45. Okay, so 45 is going to be new price, and this is increased by 5%. 5% of $3,000 is going to be 150. 150, and you have to add 150 to this guy. Is going to be 3,150. Okay, now calculate new break-even volume. Okay, if there is no change in the variable cost. Okay, so now, as I said, 1.05 by 3,000 is going to be 3,150. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is just calculate 5% of this guy. It's going to be 150, and add it to 3,000. It's going to be 3,550. Okay, and new selling price, which is going to be, as I said, is 10% less than this selling price. So 10% of this guy is going to be 5. 50 minus 5 is going to be 45. Okay, or you can do 0.9. Okay, so 1 minus 0.1, right? So 0.9 by 50, like 90% of the 50. So which is going to be 45. Now you do the same equation, TR equal to TC, total revenue, total cost, total revenue 45x, right? Because now the selling price is 45. And the fixed cost is 3,150 plus 40x, and then we go for solve for x, same way, and then it's going to be 630. If you want to do it using the financial calculator, in this case, you have to go to fixed cost. Fixed cost now is 5% more, right? So it's going to be 3,150. That's your fixed cost. Variable cost is not going to be changed. The price is going to be 10% less, so it's going to be 45. That's going to be new price. Profit is still 0 because you're looking at the break even, and then you go for Q 630. Okay, 630. All right. So that was the last example. You have any question, guys? Any question? All right. So if you don't have any question, we can call it up. Just one more time, I will remind you guys, you have to do lessons and labs and test 3 if you're comfortable with it. If not, then we wait for next week. We do another overview, and then you do test 3. Okay. Any question, guys, before we call it off? All right, so no question. That means I can see you guys next week, and then the next week is going to be our last week.
Yes.
All right.
Have a good day, Professor.
All right, nice talking to you guys. Okay, see you guys next week. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.